somewhere. I'm sure we are. Let's go to the YouTubes real quick. Make sure we are live everywhere. We are seen all over the globe. Yes, there we are. We are on YouTube live.
There we go.
Boom, bada, bing. All right. 1 year.
we still need to fix the intro music problem for the record.
Well, yeah, we'll get something going. It's been a year. I can figure this out now, sort of, kind of.
Yeah. Kick it off.
Well, there we go. 1 year. Episode 47 of the Mid-Geek Crisis. My name is Joe, the Afro Man, and my partner in crime for a whole year.
Cautious, Pedro in real life.
Yeah, man. A whole year doing this. Can't believe
it. It's been a year. I mean, we've only had 3 or 4 episodes live, which is a nice transition. I think it's the right.
Yeah, we've got a whole month now, I think, live.
Yep. So yeah, a whole year. I feel like we've learned a lot. The lighting has improved for me, got worse for Joe, I think.
I think so. I think it has gotten a little worse for me. I gotta fix
quality's increased. Our topics of discussion might be interesting. So yeah, it's exciting to have done this for a year. I feel like I've learned a lot.
Interacting with people. It's been fun interacting with people. There's people that actually want to listen to us, maybe, kind of.
At least 3 or 4, not counting my mom.
Well, yeah, not counting my mom. That's right. My mom won't even watch me. Man. Whatever.
She's like, it's too cringy. I can't do it.
Yeah, of course. I'm cringy as hell. We're gonna talk about weebs and all of the Narutos and all of the Naruto, my Naruto fanfic this episode.
Oh yeah, no, is that what we're doing this episode?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about fanfic on my personal my dream journal. We're gonna talk about my slash fic.
I love it. Let's do it.
My Magneto Professor X fanfic.
You haven't sent me that one, sir.
I have not. I what's great is my story starts off in when they're both young and then really old.
So you
then they time travel to meet each other and then have a
trip.
Yeah. They kind of do work together.
So yeah, I had no idea there was a fan fiction side of you. That is not shocking, but the only thing shocking is that it's not like Dragon Ball Z and Link, right? Like it's not.
No. My Dragon Ball Z is usually mixed.
Mario, maybe getting it on. Like there's a.
I like to mix. I like to mix a DC Marvel. That's a good mix. Star Trek, Star Wars crossover, a little Nemo Yoda crossover.
Dude, I remember I went to New York Comic Con 10,000 years ago. It was in a tiny hotel when I went to it.
Wow.
And they had a Jedi assembly, I think, or people who did lightsaber battles. Mm-hmm. And one of the people there was totally a Starfleet officer who had become a Jedi. Like he had been sucked into some sort of tachyon infused wormhole and appeared in the Star Wars universe. Like he had this enormously long backstory and he's explaining it to me and I'm sitting there being like, why are nerds like this?
Excuse me, sir. Why are you the way that you are?
But back then I was a little bit more judgmental. Now I'm like, all right, dude, you wanna mix your chocolate and peanut butter? Be my guest. At least you're not a Starfleet officer. That's also no. See, I'm not gonna judge. It's been a year of me trying to be a better person online.
We are equal opportunity geek lovers. We support everyone's geek. We don't geek shame in any way. I feel I don't. I've met everybody. Woo, yeah. Jordan.
Thank you, Jordan. Legacy 7070 from Brother Sister. Y'all had an interesting show. I had to watch it on mute because I was putting my kid down, but it was kind of hilarious watching Sister die so many times against that big ogre beast or whatever it's called, having not played Link's Awakening in 10,000 years.
So, yeah, they're working their way through the second dungeon.
Great show. It looked really fun. I gotta remember to bring headphones up next time I put the kid down. I finally got it working on my phone, and then I was like, oh wait, I don't have sound. How am I going to enjoy this? But, you know how it is.
Yep. But yeah, man, 1 year of doing this, and we get to talk. So let's talk a little bit about that, just because we're all losers.
just tonight, Legacy, just tonight. I don't know about that. So, I'm a hater. 1 year hating.
Hey. Hand it all out.
I have not been censored yet. So there
learn
we go.
Nothing. You have learned nothing, sir. Learned nothing. Let's talk about a year. We've done this for a year.
What's up, Tim? Thanks for joining.
going on? Yeah, that's thank you so much. I appreciate it. Woo! Oh, it's like I said, it's been 1 year. Let's talk about something that we've done over the year. I mean, it's hard to think back. I can barely remember last week. But in 1 year, how much of gaming has changed? Do you think?
In 1 year, how much gaming has changed? Well,
So
I
let's
will say,
think back. A year ago, we just started talking about the whole Fortnite like craziness.
yeah, I was gonna say last year was 100% Fortnite all the
Right.
time, right? Top 10 episodes.
I can't pick my babies. I love them all. I nursed each one of them.
Watching our trashy first shows. That would require going back in time. I'm only looking forward. I'm future cautious all the time, never past cautious. That guy was a jerk. Past cautious. He was a jerk.
I love him so much.
So
fanfic I want 1 year ago cautious.
How has the gaming landscape changed? I mean, a year is not a long time for things to evolve, right? But I think a year ago I would never have been able to accept. I had not accepted fully the popularity of D&D in the tabletop world, for example.
Oh, right. That's a good one.
It was big. It was big. I just couldn't accept the fact that it was big. And a year later, it's indisputable, right? It's indisputable. D&D dominates the field. The streaming shows, Critical Role. I think they made the $1 million show. All that stuff has popped up in a way that I would never have been able to predict a year ago. I would not have been able to predict Red Dead Redemption being one of my least favorite games of 2000.
Hot take, folks. Yes, I remember a year.
One of my least favorite.
You don't have to validate it. If you need to validate it, that
came up. Yep, Xbox Pass. We predicted that sort of services as a thing, and that was a big deal. So that would be I think that would be my three biggest takeaways from the year. D&D being as big as it is, as popular it is, as strong as it is. I think Red Dead Redemption 2 being the biggest disappointment of forever, and then the Xbox Pass and generally video games as a service, right? Who would have thought Fortnite's success would sort of open the door for that?
We got Adam on the show.
Adam, a big friend of the show. Adam's always been a big help for all of our technical needs.
Indeed, definitely the first half of this year would not have been possible without his help.
When will Joe random? So Adam comes in here and just throws a grenade. Slow down.
Throwing the bows, get me riled up. Look, let's get about 30 minutes into the show and we'll talk about the Joker for sure.
So what was your three, Joe? What was your three? Go ahead.
Man, so my three, let's talk. I'm gonna agree with D&D. I mean, we saw it, right? We've been, because you and I we go to PAX, we go to we've done the PAX thing, local cons, we've been playing D&D. D&D has been a part of our lives for a while, and we saw it with PAX, with Mike and Jerry doing the whole
Acquisitions
Inc. Them doing their own thing, and I was like, oh man, look how big that thing's getting. It's almost becoming its own big animal. Like it's becoming bigger than what they're known for, which is Penny Arcade. And now I think Penny Arcade is almost back burner. Like I feel like the strip is there
every other day, yeah. And they've got they've got their own a year ago, Penny Arcade and Acquisitions Inc. source book. Never would have predicted that.
And now they have written their own book that's part of the D&D. It's one of the bookshelf books. You can now buy it. It's now Acquisitions Inc.
It's on my list of things to buy.
I never would have thought it, but here we are. We've come to that point where D&D is that big, and we saw it coming. We just didn't see the train come full force like that. Critical Role is in the geek pop culture. You've got kids at school talking about their newest episode of Critical Role, which is absolutely amazing to me, knowing that there are like 12 and 13-year-olds talking about D&D and following a campaign. It's beautiful. It makes me wish that
it's kind of all uniform, but yeah. It's great. I love it because when I can talk about D&D now with everybody. There's not a parent that doesn't know right away that I play D&D when I go to these kid parties. I'm like, do you play D&D? No. I'm like, all right, let's move on. You and I are not going to be friends.
But then they go, but I've heard of it. I think my kid.
Exactly. I mean, I have one parent who's in my group this year, so I can't complain. I drag him in.
Yeah, D&D. The Fortnite thing was interesting. Seeing the roller coaster kind of go up, and then like crescendo, and then it's kind of leveled off. It's not as popular as it was a year ago, but it's still consistent. That they're on season 10, I think, coming up. Apex came in swinging. I didn't think they took all the thunder, but they definitely gave it the rival it wanted to be. That they're able to keep up. The death of Overwatch, in the way that it has kind of like completely gone away, is definitely interesting to me. Right. Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. So I won't say that going mainstream. I knew that was happening. About a year ago, I talked about how Disney Channel had like a offshoot channel that was showing streaming and showing like, here's the Nintendo like big event showing up, and they were doing like live streams of like Smash Brothers and whatnot on regular TV.
They have a show on their Disney Channel, right? Where it's like streamers play their games on Disney Channel, right? So it's like a
player select is what they call it.
That's it, player select.
My kid loves it. And you know what? It's the one thing I've been letting them watch when it comes down to streamers, because Disney kind of maintains it. And so they selected popular streamers, and then they come on and do like an episode of it, and they play games. So my kid has been watching them, and he's been asking me about new games. He's been going, "Hey, Dad, can I play Hot Lava?" And I go, "You know what, kiddo? I just got that on Apple Arcade, and I loaded it up, and they've been playing it." So that's the game of the week for the kiddos.
Yeah, I think Georgia makes a good point, though. I would have never predicted Ninja's meteoric rise if I had thought it through. Fortnite and Ninja were on the same slope, so I should have.
They were.
There you go. We did predict the maybe not on this show. We should have talked about it, but the sort of potential for streamers to move, right? So now they become their own properties, and Ninja pulled that shenanigan just a few weeks ago where he went to Mixer. Right. So I think we talked about the kind of way that these streaming services are going to try to keep these stars or steal stars from each other in exactly this way. And we saw Ninja make the jump.
Exclusivity, like the weirdness that you've got, like almost moving from one franchise to another. It's like, it's weird. It's weird that they've become exclusive. Like, I'm only going to stream on this. It's like moving teams. It's kind of like the whole LeBron thing back in the day. Like they announced like this big move from one team to another, and all of a sudden,
or getting a nice newscaster, right? You'll see, it's rare that it happens, but you'll see newscasters move from one cable network to another and things like that. So it's more about celebrity and content creator that gets stolen back and forth.
This whole genre, the genre that is streaming and TV and whatnot, I've realized that I really don't watch any TV now. We've gotten to the point where we predicted all the service moves. That's one of the big things. That's one of my favorite things about the series. We saw the predictions of Microsoft and how the changes they were doing about services and upgrades, and not really worrying about their next bit of hardware, but worrying more about the service. What's going on here?
I'm just laughing because I think it always takes Jordan like 2 or 3 minutes to talk about the studio system in Hollywood. I'm convinced that's what his dissertation is going to be on. The studio system. Yeah, no, this is exactly right. Actors are contract with studios.
That was the olden days.
I guess like they've had like right of first refusal for some of the high-powered producers for TV shows on NBC and CBS and things like that. So I imagine it's the same case, right? But yeah, you're totally right. It's exactly that thing. And Ninja's one of the first, I think, and probably the most notable. I'm sure others have done it without as much fanfare.
Well, you had within this year alone, you also had PewDiePie, who rose in stardom and then did all the mistakes you could possibly do by saying certain things and doing certain things and tweeting certain things and doubling down on certain things, and then getting removed. He got removed from the Disney Channel exclusive, which he would have been on Player Select. He wasn't. He got pulled off that, and he got contracts canceled from YouTube Red and all of those other things. And now he's further down, but he still has like 1 million followers, and he still makes bank and whatever.
So he's still doing all right. Good for him.
Like he's hurting.
Yeah, good for him.
So yeah, those are my big predictions. Definitely the Xbox Game Pass was definitely my favorite thing to kind of see. Look at that.
Good friend of the show, Saren. Friend of the show. There you go.
Friend of the show.
Thank you very much, Saren. I don't know about snazzy or gents, but I'll take it.
Well, I'll take any positivity in any way, shape, or form from anybody. at this point.
It's a good segue, right? Let's talk about positive things first.
Positive
right?
things. Let's positive things. So we're going to jump right into the news of this episode. And one of the things that was big was this New York Comic Con was this past weekend.
Can we take a second, right? New York Comic Con was tiny, I feel like, because I think I went to either the first or second one when they rebooted it in New York, and it was in a hotel. It was like 2 floors. It wasn't very good.
It was comics.
Yeah, it was 100% comics, and we, as in the Nerd NYC group that I belonged to back then, had a set of tables to run games on. So I ran the front table, and then I played some games there. A little bit of tabletop was the experience, and it has grown to. I mean, nothing's ever going to rival San Diego Comic-Con, but it's become an important.
Well, let's be honest.
Anchor.
The only reason it's not as big as San Diego Comic-Con is because it doesn't have the real estate that San Diego Comic-Con has. Right? San Diego has way more real estate, way more like beachfront property, kind of ginormous.
It's San Diego.
San Diego, and New
It's
York
San Diego.
City's got to deal with New York.
The weird thing to me is that you've got New York, which I think we can all agree is the kind of headquarters of Marvel, DC, the actual comic book companies, right?
Yep.
And then you have San Diego, which is close enough to this sort of
Hollywood.
The Hollywood and the video game companies, right? There's a lot of bases out there. Even though Rockstar's in New York, Rockstar's also out there in San Diego. So like you got, you could essentially have 2 very central hubs where comic book things happen at New York Comic Con and movie things happen at San Diego Comic Con. But they did TV shows this year at New York Comic Con, which I had no idea.
Big push this year.
Big push was TV shows and movies, and I was excited to see the new Picard, the new Star Trek show. The Picard.
Yeah, so that's something we're going to talk about. That's definitely big because I feel like we talked about this before the show. We don't talk about Star Trek as much as we would like to on the show because Star Trek has been kind of.
The reboots were they were okay.
They had their fun moments. Enterprise back in the day was kind of the big thing, but Scott Bakula was meh. It was terrible. It kind of tanked the thing, which caused the reboot.
I enjoyed it, but I'm a sucker for a sci-fi. What's it called? The Seth MacFarlane one was a pretty good Star Trek.
Right. The Orville.
The Orville was pretty good.
But it's not Star Trek.
Nicely. Yep.
But we all know that Seth MacFarlane did that because he wants to do Star Trek and they won't give him Star Trek. So he said, fine, I will create my own Star Trek with,
Star Trek.
Blackjack.
It's a reskin Star Trek. It's like a bootleg Star Trek, the mobile game version of Star Trek.
But it's actually good. It's come back.
It was enjoyable. I don't know that it's good, but it's definitely enjoyable. It scratches that itch for a crew thing. So the new Picard looked great. I mean, when I first saw the teaser, what is it? I think it was the teaser was at San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, where he's walking through like his vineyard.
Yeah, I remember thinking to myself, well, why are they bringing this guy back? Like, why are we not doing a new ship like Discovery? Why are we not experiencing a new person in place in the Star Trek universe? And then I saw the trailer. I was like, what is this saying about us? That we're bringing back, that we're essentially making the replacements or whatever they're called, the replaceables. We're taking all the old people that we love from Star Trek and bringing them back. No disrespect to the old people, but I like new things and new experiences. I don't need to have the nostalgia train rode to death like I feel like I'm riding with Star Wars, right? So I don't know.
Yes,
but it still looked good. Like it still looks like Star Trek, and I'm like, oh my god, I still want to watch Star Trek, and I didn't realize I missed Picard as much as I did, which is shameful to admit, but here we are.
Well, I mean, so let's touch base on that a bit. I think Star Trek is able to kind of go. Okay, so we talk about this a lot on the show, gatekeeping, right?
Yep.
A lot of gatekeeping. Every franchise, every fan base has a gatekeeping group that's very vocal. And so
Star Trek is the original gatekeepers.
Right. And Star Wars has its own group too. And so when Star Wars says, hey, we're going to have a female protagonist, hey, we're going to have all sorts of different, people of color and this and that, you're going to have tons of backlash and hate and awfulness and terribleness and evil things on Twitter causing established actresses to pull their own Twitter account because they can't handle it.
You know what's weird? Did that happen with Star Trek?
It didn't. But what I'm saying is Star Trek, yeah. So
could it be that the internet has sort of created a virtual sound machine that has destroyed all communication and stratified the? Could it be we're worse off because of the internet? We thought it would be great, and instead made us all enemies.
Well, what's interesting is I've talked to Pedro about this in private. I'm part of certain little groups for Star Trek, and there's one fabulous group that I love that's called Star Trek shitposting on Facebook. And they just like to troll. They put horrible stuff up. But what's great is when you really get into the nitty gritty, is I've realized that when I have Star Wars groups, and the Star Wars groups are like weird people that like love the Empire, and their political base turns a bit right. Yeah, he's hosting a stream. Yeah. Well, the internet, what he says while hosting a stream, for sure.
We're trying to make the internet better. We're like a breath of fresh air, Brian. We try.
So I'm not making distinctions. This is my observation. The Star Wars fans, which I love, but a lot of the vocal ones are very right-wingy, enterprisey, empire-y. And then
bold.
The Star Trek group are very socialist, very liberal, very like, hey.
How could they not be?
I know, right? And so I was like, wait a minute. The basis of Star Trek was like the future without money, without whatever, and they're like
without color, without
And then all of a sudden, I'm like, I see these people like argue, and like they're very vocal about like the government. And right now, they're like, the freaking stupid government right now. And I'm like, are the Star Trek fans my people? Like, what's going on here? Like, what is going on? Like, I'm expecting horribleness because every time someone posts a political thread, I'm like, oh no, here we go. Then
no, they will cut each other in the street over how the Klingons lost their forehead parts or how they came back, but they're all still lovable socialists that will make sure you've got healthcare, right? That's the Star Trek post-scarcity society.
Yeah, society. That's exactly it. That's exactly what the Star Trek world is supposed to be. It's like after the apocalypse, we fixed it all, and then we go, we don't want that again.
Or we've provided enough that we don't have to have that again.
Right. Because I think there's a time frame in the Star Trek where they went through a war and there was famine and like awfulness, and then they kind of crawled back.
Yeah, they crawled back. They got help from the Vulcans. They formed a federation.
Right.
And they wanted to explore the worlds. But I mean, like
First Contact.
You'll see Deep Space Nine and the Maquis explore how humankind deals with war, right? So they had this period of expansion and peace, went to war with the Klingons in a more traditional war, and then the Maquis had their sort of terrorist thing. So, I mean, the Federation definitely explores the sort of darker sides of mankind's behaviors, right? So that's there. It didn't solve the problem. It just space gave them the space to expand for a little bit. And then once they started butting up against other territories, of course, oh, wow, I really went down a Star Trek rabbit hole, didn't I? That's
yes. Go.
That's a place to go.
As you can see, we love Star Trek. We love it.
We do.
We're very happy. We're happy for a new show. We're happy for a new show that isn't Marvel. It's not going to be on Disney Plus.
Yes,
but it will be on CBS.
Come on, man. Which means it's your time for me. Sorry, CBS.
See, I said I don't know, man.
Afford another streaming service. I just can't do it.
So I've been giving this tip out a lot. I think since we're seeing that we've reinvented cable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've cut the cord only to reinvent the wireless cord. Yep. So now everyone's got their own channel. It
was all right. It was all right. I don't think it was that good, but it was all right. That's how I had fun with it. I like how they integrated it into the Star Trek that everyone else knows. Like, I like how they rebooted with respect. I don't know how to put that. But I didn't like J.J. Abrams winking a nod. I didn't like his whole Wrath of Khan reveal. I thought Wrath of Khan was trash.
It's not Khan. It's Khan.
Yeah, come on, we're not dumb. I didn't like that. But I thought that movie was terrible. Terrible. And the third one was okay for an action sci-fi flick, but was barely a Star Trek. You didn't see the Wrath of Khan?
No,
the
Return
of Khan, or whatever the hell.
The Darkness, or whatever the last one.
Yeah, that one was okay. It was actually a good rollicking space movie, but it was barely a Star Trek movie.
Interesting. And then they abandoned it, right? Like we're done with those. They're not making the fourth one. Paramount isn't going to be.
Paramount does the weirdest things with their Star Trek property. Like, you think they would exploit it more.
That's a good one. Benedictine Cougar noodle. Yeah, no,
it's good. Yeah. And also here's a missed opportunity, right? The guy's name is Khan, right? Why would they cast that guy? But that's a different story completely. They could have really explored the fact that he was a genetically altered person from the Asian world, right? He conquered the world from there. If you're looking at the mythology of Star Trek, but they cast Benedict Cumbernoodle to do it. Who did great. No disrespect to him. He was working with a terrible script, with a terrible plan, and just terrible Star Trek all around. But I how you say, I'm still a sucker for the Enterprise. I'm still a sucker for the mission. I'm still a sucker for the ship. So I enjoyed them. They just weren't very good. Wrath of Khan and the Voyage Home are still the best Star Trek movies ever. Hot take, everybody.
Voyage Home.
That's the one with the whales.
I was like, is that 5? The whale one?
No. 4 is the whale one. 5 is the one after, right? The Voyage Home, Undiscovered Country is the 5th one.
6.
Oh, 6 is 4. Wait, no. Yeah, because yes.
5 is the whale one.
5 is the whale one? You sure it's not 4? I'm pretty sure it's 4.
Star Trek 5, The Final Frontier.
Yeah, The Final Frontier is the one with the Klingon who quotes Shakespeare. Why are you challenging me on this?
Really? Is it?
Why are you challenging me on this?
Wait. We gotta. So which?
All right, dude. Put it up on the screen so everyone can see. There you go.
The Voyage Home. You're right.
I know I'm right.
Yeah. No.
But can you say it slower and like in a whisper?
Guys, Pedro was right. He was right.
Thank you.
Come on, that's honestly the whales one is the best one. Let's be honest.
The whales is the best one, but I still have a soft heart for Wrath of Khan. So
anything to see the scene where Scotty picks up the phone or whatever, and he's like computer, and he's like trying to talk to it.
Yeah, no, it's great. Thank you, Gordon. It's also hilariously prescient because that is what my daughter does with every single thing she sees. Right. She now picks it up or tries to touch the screen and wonders why. Frustratingly, it does not work. So thank you, Courtney. Please, yes. You should not tell
The wife shows up. A year later, she goes, "I'm going to watch this thing that my husband disappears for an hour and a half every week."
And she logs in to hear you say, "You're so right, Pedro." Thank you. Thanks for joining us, Courtney, on our year anniversary.
The whales. Look, the best part about the whales is transparent aluminum. I'm still waiting for it.
The best part about the whales is that I don't know how far off from the truth Star Trek was. we might be killing them all today. So pour a little out for the whales and pray for a satellite to destroy us all.
God, we got a slingshot around the sun or the moon, or is it the sun? The sun, right?
What do they do? Is that how they go back? Yeah, that's exactly. I can't gross over to you. There you go. Madness over here.
Star Trek, guys, go watch it. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for Picard. I'm excited to see Patrick Stewart outlive us all.
I am excited to see him outlive us all. Maybe go back in time and fix the world. That would be great of him to
do. Another thing we've been talking a lot about on the show for the past year, and we're gonna, we'll follow it, but we'll move on from this story. Is loot boxes.
Yes. So they're changing slowly but surely. Games are coming around to that. What do we want to talk about? Ghost Recon?
Yeah. So let's talk about Ghost Recon here. This madness, this post loot box world where you think this is a good idea.
So I mean, what do gamers want, right? I don't know. We don't want loot boxes, right? We've all kind of come to the conclusion that loot boxes is not something we want to deal with. We don't want to pay for something and not know what we're getting. That's gambling. But also, we don't want every item in our game to be purchased with real money. So, so I don't know. So I to developers and releasers and publishers, there has to be a middle ground you can find here where you don't offer multiple currencies. Gamers are onto that. They know how that system works. All you're doing now, and we all know this and we all align on this, is all you're doing is preying on the people who are too weak to say no, which seems shitty, right? I mean, yeah. All of us in one sense or another, there's always a point in which we're all willing to gamble, and then we don't know how to stop gambling, right? And that's what these companies are depending on, and it's crappy. It's awful. We could do better. I don't know how. I don't know what the solution is, but it's somewhere between everything is a microtransaction and
I don't know anymore, man. We've twofold, right? So Nintendo is a company that constantly puts out quality games, complete games. They have dabbled in the DLC world, kind of like Smash, but at the same time, they still give you a complete game right up front. But then they get flack when they release a game like Mario Kart on mobile, where they're like, "Oh, it's full of microtransactions." I'm like, Nintendo constantly gives you good crap. So now they want to taste a little bit of that microtransaction pie, and they get like smacked on. But then you've got companies that consistently do it. Call of Duty, Ghost Recon here, anything EA publishes, and yet these companies still make millions of dollars.
Because people, I mean, maybe we just like to complain. Maybe that's really the byline here is that no matter what you do, you can't win, so you may as well try to make some money off of us.
Right.
That's what it comes down to.
A perfect example is, what is it? NBA 2K just came out. You know, here's a sports title. And I think they talked about how it's like thousands of dollars to like play that game if you want to complete it with like everything.
Yep.
Because there's like all sorts of things you can buy. You have to buy.
You can't. If you want to complete it with everything. Right. I assume you can give your players tattoos and stuff, right?
Yeah, but it's all cosmetic crap. But it's like if you wanted to like complete I don't know, man. It's weird. We live in a weird world where, you know what I miss? I miss unlockables. I miss honest to goodness time unlockables. You know,
I'm playing this game called Bad North right now. It's on Xbox Pass. It's a neat little real time.
You know, nickel every time we say Xbox Pass, man.
Yeah, no, we got to say it every episode. And I didn't realize it, but after I beat it the first time, all of the characters that I found with unlockable skills were now available to me as random. It was random as to which skill popped up, but if I started a new campaign, I got 2 officers with their own new skills. And I was like, oh,
but didn't that feel good?
It did. I was like, oh, I had no idea.
I don't understand. Like, why can't companies do this anymore? I don't get it.
I mean, they like the money. That's what it comes down to, I think.
Nothing is more egregious than fighting games.
Fighting games are pretty bad. Mortal Kombat's mediocre, right? Isn't that?
But I mean, Mortal Kombat gave you a pretty good roster. So I'm talking the big offender to this is Street Fighter V that launched with like 8 characters, and then like they've slowly been charging you for new characters, new skins, new levels, new whatever.
Didn't Dead or Alive do that though? Did DOA does that like nobody, right?
No. Yes, there's a DOA out right now, like DOA 6 or whatever that you can buy.
But like I mean, you look at their expansions; it's just a million different.
Yeah, and that's because
a million different outfits.
The core engine is free. And so you can play the entire game with like a certain amount of characters, but if you want more, they piecemeal it.
It's like Killer Instinct. Killer Instinct did that too, right?
It did that for a while, but now I think the definitive edition is like $15 or whatever. I mean, but at that point, no one plays it.
Which works for me. Yeah, which works for me. Right, nobody plays it now, but it would work for me for Street Fighter. I think I would download a free Street Fighter and just play it.
I think for fighting games, it's smart for them.
Do you remember the days of playing on the arcade and unlocking like M Bison, and like you'd go to a machine, and you'd be like, M Bison's unlocked. What?
Yeah. I remember blowing this little kid's mind because the way that like Mortal Kombat trilogy, the way you unlock certain characters was by like you put your cursor on one and then move a certain amount.
Right.
It would boom, and then when you land on one character that would be like Liu Kang, all of a sudden it would get replaced by a new character. Human Smoke was like that. You had to do a certain combination to unlock Human Smoke, and I remember doing that in front of like
this is before the internet, so it's not like you could just look it up or have it
right. I remember doing the movement, and then all of a sudden, boom, smoke, and it was like the human version of him, and everyone's like, "What? Wow. This game?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, that's how you do it." Yeah, that's how you became like arcade infamous. Like everyone, that guy unlocked Human Smoke. Check it out. Yeah, you like walk with the swagger all of a sudden. You're like, that guy knows how to do his
man, unlock smoke for us, Afro Man. Come on.
Yeah, man. Yeah. See, I miss those days and like the nostalgia factor of like knowing something that not everyone knew. Now it's like unlock this, $3.99.
Yeah. Destiny 2 has a couple unlockables, right? But they're discovered and then posted online 2 minutes after they're discovered.
Or because reviewers, Tim's back.
Tim.
Yes, I hate that. I love this medium that we're in, but the fact that like a game gets released and people might have it early by a day or two, and they're already posting like end game videos before I've even taken my game out of the packaging. Like I just got off work at 5 p.m., but you MFer was playing at midnight.
Quick 1 year poll, Joe. How many games do you still have in the packaging at your house?
None now. I filled them all. I made sure I went through and unwrapped everything when I moved in.
You were like, now you bring me joy.
Did you know you can't trade in a game shrink wrap at GameStop?
You can't trade it because you stole it? Is that their assumption?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, whatever. The GameStops are all closing anyway. They're sinking into the ocean like every other.
But how many are unplayed? Ooh. That's like most people's Steam account.
That's a really dirty question, Legacy. I don't know that you're allowed to ask that of a gamer. How many games do you own that have never been played, huh?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I
could tell you how many for me.
None. Yeah. No, he's minimalist. He buys a game and plays it. And if he
I mean, and with Xbox Pass, I'll download it, play it for 10 minutes. If I don't like it, I uninstall it. So
right. He's the type of guy that calls Valve and goes, "Hey, can you remove this game from my library? I don't want it anymore." And they're like, "This guy wants the game removed permanently. What?"
It gets put up on their Scrum board in a little post-it.
Yeah. This guy wants this game. This guy wants his game gone.
He's trying to condo his Steam list. What's going on here?
Oh God, he's over 1,000 unplayed. Ugh.
That I believe.
Yeah.
Unwatched movies. There you go. See,
that's the same thing, man. It's the same thing. It happens all the time. I mean, you've seen my Plex server. I download and have movies on there that I'll never watch, but I get them for other people.
I have friend of the show, my brother Jay has a Plex server with a ton of movies. I'm like, why did you even put this on here? What is this film? It's just he's never gonna watch this film again.
Right, but I put it on there. The one genre that is very light on mine is horror, because I'm not a big horror fan, and because I know I want it. But occasionally the popular one, It and all those they'll get put on my server because
on there.
Someone wants to watch them.
Have you watched Brightburn yet? You're just
man.
It's on my list. I haven't seen it yet.
I kind of want to, but at the same time, that's the hot point with me is I'm sick and tired of the whole Superman as a villain thing, and so now you decided to just run with a movie.
45 unopened Blu-rays. I'm sorry, that is a
whoa.
That is a lot.
That's a lot, sir. That's a lot.
Well done.
Bravo.
There you go. Brightburn was disappointing. I'm curious to hear your review, Legacy, as to how disappointed. What made it disappointing? It's on my list to see. I'm
a big fan of Superman, and so this.
I talked about this with Bad Boys, right, or whatever that show is on Amazon. I'm not ready to deconstruct superheroes yet. Like I'm not. I want to still enjoy them as wholesome Captain America, Iron Man types. I'm not ready to watch shows that explore the dark side of superhero-dom. I'm not ready to do that just yet.
I'm done with that. Everyone.
I'm not done with it. I'm just not ready for it.
I'm done with that like hot take. That like somehow or another they think that the hot take, like, oh, let's make the good guy a bad guy. Like that's not been done before. It's always done, and they always do it with the character that is supposed to be like the uber good guy. And I'm sick of it because I see it all the time with Superman. Like apparently no one. We just can't get it. Like everyone says, like, oh, we can't write an interesting Superman story.
Creepy alien horror, right? You want it more psychological, and you got creepy alien.
Yeah,
you should watch the Babadook if you want some kid creepy psychological horror. There,
who is a friend of the LGBT community.
The Babadook.
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea. That's good for him. I'm glad.
Apparently, they
adopted this horrifying psychological creature
as like a I don't know, like it's weird that they say he's like an ally.
I don't understand. This is where I sound like an old person from it. I don't understand millennials anymore.
I don't understand you.
Joe's waiting for the classic Lex movie, and
Why
Tim has
is
a
he
ton of
pushing
movies.
that button? He's pushing that button. He's pushing
I don't know. I'm trying to think. I couldn't imagine having 45 films that I haven't seen or 45 video games that I haven't played, or like I feel like it would give me so much anxiety. Yeah. Like I condoed my board games, right? Because there were so many games that I had played and not played, and it gave me anxiety. I have a game that I haven't played yet, Shadows of Brimstone, that I really want to.
Who's that?
I don't. Courtney must be responding to something a long time ago.
Who's Dapper?
Maybe you. It's got to be you. She's not going to be calling me Dapper.
She's never talking about me.
Or maybe Tim.
I want to hear who's Dapper. So respond back.
It's you, Joe. Just accept the compliment.
No. Accepting compliments comes with payment. No.
There you go. So yeah. So the anxiety of owning that much stuff and never having used it would drive me crazy. Yeah, the Babadook. That's it. Legacy. That's a great psychological horror film.
Is the Babadook because he's dapper. I didn't know that.
He is dapper, and that's why he's adapted by the LG. Okay, all right. So you can't be. So that's why Jason was never invited, because he's kind of a disheveled killer, while the Babadook. Well, the Babadook is, he's going to look good on your arm in the club.
So Tim says that he's having a bad day and he needs a laugh, and he loves my rants.
Well, that's why we've been doing this for a year, Tim. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll make sure at the tail end of the show, I'm gonna jump into the Joker for sure.
Have you seen it? Is that a yes? What, by accident? You're making it look like you're like partly ashamed and not. So I fell into the movie theater and I had a ticket and I wound up watching it.
I told you I wasn't going to see it. I definitely made sure to read a good in-depth, complete spoiler review about it, because I wanted to hear like some of the like stuff that they had done in this movie. And I'm glad I didn't pay money for it. So
you downloaded pirated?
No, absolutely not. I don't do that anymore. I'm totally not a cam seal. God, if the movie hasn't been put on some sort of like pressed media and then ripped, I won't watch it. I hate watching anything with a camera. Oh, God. Sit down.
I assume that's not the way it's done anymore. I assume that someone finds a bootleg copy from a movie theater because it's all digital anyway, and then just sells that, right?
They like plug in the aux cord and just copy it right from the digital camera.
So I think we want to talk about one thing for sure, right?
We do, and this is about a series we're going to get, but it's an interesting thing because I want to talk about it because it's a big deal that's going on right now. Mm-hmm. It touches base on a lot of things that's going on. It kind of blew up in my face today without me realizing it. I had a friend of mine post something. He just made a little comment. Zero. He posted
over
about
at the Haunted Mountain. They make D&D accessories.
Accessories. Go check them out. The Haunted Mountain store. They've got earrings and jewelry and boards and all sorts of fun stuff. Really great. But no. So I want to talk about a particular thing. He posted a comment talking about he said his comment was, Blizzard, you're what are you doing? And I was like, what did I miss? Because it was the middle of the day or early in the morning. I'm like, what did I miss? And it was exactly the repercussion of something that had happened. So Blizzard decided to reprimand a particular streamer about
they banned a championship player from the Hearthstone tournaments. And they fired the two people working the camera. Let's be clear. They didn't just.
This was scorched earth.
It wasn't a slap on the wrist.
It was complete scorched earth.
Yeah. So this is about Hong Kong. Obviously, the protests going on there. More power to those folks out there who are fighting for what they want and probably need.
Absolutely. But we should be paying attention, America.
If we didn't have our freaking continent-sized dumpster fire between us and China, we would be watching, but we can't because we've got our own dumpster fire over here.
Right.
But so this personality, I forget his name. I think his name was something like Blitzathon or Blitzercon. He spoke out in support of the Hong Kong protesters during a live stream, and Blizzard did not take kindly to that, presumably because of the amount of money they make in China, and banned him from the tournaments and fired the two casters that were in charge, I assume, of making sure things were to be censored. But there we go. So and now there's been a big uproar in the community regarding it. There goes Blitzchung. That's his name.
So from the hours that I left work to now, all sorts of havoc has gone.
Oh yeah,
Blizzard has subreddit has closed.
Mm-hmm.
After the devs suspended the Hearthstone. So let me be clear, guys. I'm going to try to break it down for the people that don't play or don't watch. Like someone like Tim, who isn't a video gamer. I'm going to talk about this.
I'm going to preface this as this is Joe's Charlie Day moment. You know, with the board and the yarn and the pieces of paper.
Totally Illuminati moment, but I guarantee you, I have the receipts. I do. Like this isn't something that I'm like digging through like darknet. Like this is all public knowledge. Guys,
public knowledge. Go for it.
All right. So Blizzard, and just since I've left, all of this has happened, right? You've got suspension, you've got all sorts of stuff. But let me talk about what has happened beforehand. The reason why this all happened is because of this thing right here, Tencent. And if you're not familiar who Tencent is, you have seen or given them money. Mm-hmm. Tencent is the largest tech conglomeration in China right now, and they have their mitts and money in everything right now. If you have watched a movie recently in any way, shape, or form, you have given them money. Mm-hmm. Tencent Studios is ginormous. Hollywood is using them. Every Disney movie since Iron Man 3 has been co-funded by Tencent. Let me preface it. Every Marvel movie you paid for, at the end of the credits, you will see Tencent Studios as a funder or use of their studio in China. That's a big deal, guys. Tencent owns 5% of Activision Blizzard. Mm-hmm. Tencent is in charge of let me bring up a little thing called Sesame.
Oh, the Charlie meme. Thank you, Jordan.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah.
What is it? The Sesame currencies is what it's called. It's the best way I can describe it is a currency that China uses, kind of like a virtual gamification of society, where you install the app, and if your neighbor or friend says something bad about the government, you can then tell on them. It's like the ultimate snitch network. And so when you tell on them, it creates like down points in society, and the government watches that individual more, which causes them to be like frowned upon for like money and raises and all sorts of things.
The community did an episode like that. It was like was it kitties? Was it community had a sort of social likes and dislikes. Black Mirror had an episode about that, right? I think actually based on the Chinese social currency one.
Yeah, it's called, let me bring it up again. Zima Credit, or also known as Sesame Credit. It's a private credit scoring and loyalty program development by Ant Financial Services and Alibaba Group.
Yep. So what you're buying and what you're doing is all tracked and ready to go. Like, right. let's not kid ourselves, right? China's not a democracy.
They're not
by any stretch of the imagination. They are an authoritarian government that watches their people closely, with active and they have the world's strongest censorship game, right? Like
they do.
They've censored Winnie the Pooh.
They have.
I mean, that's extraordinary, right? I mean, think about trying to censor an image in American society. That just makes the image more available, right? You censor Winnie the Pooh here, and everyone's going to buy a shirt with it on it.
In China, you do that, and they stay away from it because they know it could cost them their livelihood.
They'll disappear. Which is part of the things that's going on in Hong Kong. And you know, I think about this sometimes. There's no way, I think, in our modern consumer capitalist society for us to consume the things we like without being complicit in supporting the Chinese government. So let's be honest. If we're gamers and we enjoy gaming, our games are made in China.
They are.
Our toys are made in China. My miniatures are produced in China. The first production runs of Dwarven Forge from China.
Yeah.
Right. So let's not. I mean, those amiibos, those are made in China, right? So
everything is made in China. Everything is made.
No a way for us to enjoy. Yeah, we're all guilty under capitalism, Jordan. So
We are.
Of course, like if we're all complicit, then none of us are, which is the great joy of capitalism, right?
Right.
If we're all enjoying the fruits of this complicity, then
It's not wrong.
It's not wrong, but it is. Let's not pretend it's not wrong. So I don't know how I don't. This is an interesting come to Jesus moment, and one of the things I said to Joe privately on text was I said, no one's going to give a shit about this in a week because money's still being made. Literally nobody cares.
Made in China.
Joe was made in China. China, Texas. No,
yeah, absolutely. No, guys, it's
the only U.S. state.
I bring this up because we're getting companies that are. I mean, you saw how quick it was. The stream happened on Sunday, and by Monday, boom, the wrath. But they only own 5%.
Yep.
Publicly. But the idea here is the amount of money that China and Tencent funnels into them is huge. Yep. If they were to pull that out, it would cripple the company.
Yep.
So let's talk about that because it's a big deal. A good example is League of Legends. League of Legends was 100% owned by Tencent.
Yep.
All right. And we have to talk about the amount of money that this company made. Pulling in an estimate 1.4 billion revenue last year. Last year was not a popular year for League of Legends. League of Legends is technically dead, but yet it still pulls in 1.4 million.
That's because it's worldwide, right?
Worldwide. Here we go. Epic Games. They own 48% of Epic.
So finally, a good reason not to buy things from the Epic Store.
A good reason not to buy anything. That's
finally a good reason not to buy things from the Epic Store.
Last year, Fortnite made 2.4 billion. So if it's 50% of the company, they get 50% of that cut, aka 1 million. 1 billion.
It depends on how you, but yes.
Sure. But let's say they get $1 billion out of the 1.4. That's $1 billion into a company not here in the US, China.
I mean, I like to think that the folks in Hong Kong are Chinese gamers.
Here's the big surprise here. They own 11%, 11.5% of PUBG.
I don't know that I like that they own all the Battle Royale games, for the record. I don't know how I feel about that.
Because it's the one that's making the most money at the moment.
Yeah.
They own 5% of Ubisoft, which, of course, is the game that we just talked about.
Ghost Recon.
Assassin's
Creed. Ubisoft is huge. I mean, every time I think a game is a game and it's made by Ubisoft, it's kind of
right.
5% of Activision Blizzard, which we know about.
Yep. Which we know about. Grinding Gears, Path of Exile. It's a popular game.
That's in the MMO, right? Like a Dark Souls-esque.
This is a big one. Look at this amount. They own 84% of Supercell. 84%. Ooh, what happened there? I think it just didn't like that.
The Chinese censors are shutting you down.
Yeah, they're like, shut me down.
So I honestly, Jordan, I don't know. What I know about Chinese gamer culture is nothing.
I know that they're kind of like the Korean culture, and like when they stick to a game, they stick to it, and they'll
play the hell out of it.
Play the hell out of it.
I mean, we're the same way. We're animals that way too.
We are. 84%, guys. Tencent, $8.6 billion investment in this Finnish mobile developer. But considering 60% of Tencent is $19.13 billion in gaming revenue last year. $19 billion. And the reason it's that much is because it's games like Clash of Clans.
Don't they? I mean, Tencent also makes like gambling games. Like the gambling games aren't illegal in
other
Japan,
countries. Right. They own smaller companies that give them that smaller revenue. But it's these big ones. It's games like Clash of Clans, which my old boss played like during meetings.
My mom plays Clash of Clans, for the record.
Your mom is giving money to the Chinese government? What?
But I mean, we all are.
But that's what I'm saying. Like that's kind of the whole point of this conversation is we don't even realize how much we give. Elite Dangerous, developers of Elite Dangerous and Planet Zoo, Frontier Development, 9%.
Black Desert Online, which intrigued me. I thought about playing it.
Huge. It's a huge game right now. It's really big on Mixer. Mixer is kind of the main point where people are kind of conglomerating for the stream of Black Desert, and they own 13% of it.
And these are just their gaming properties, right? So
Here's a big one.
They invest in movies with Disney. They help distributors get movies into China. Like Tencent is
Warhammer.
I know, or just
Tide too.
Yeah, and I played Secret World and Conan Exiles from Funcom, right? I was
Right.
actually a founding member of Secret World when it first came out.
100% of Shark Mob, which is a studio that was developed by The Division and Hitman developers.
But they haven't
yet.
put out a game yet. They haven't put out a game yet, so they might have bought
Discord.
And yes, that one surprised me. I had no idea they got $158 million from Tencent.
Yeah.
Or whatever they got from Tencent. Part of that was there.
This is just gaming. This list, if you look them up online, you'll see that they also have a huge stake in Tesla and own a giant percentage of Snapchat.
Yep.
So let's think about that. As a young gamer or young person in general, you probably have a Snapchat account. You're probably drooling over Teslas, and young individuals and young people with money are spending money towards Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
And they all play these games. So like they're really cornering that youth market, but they're hush. Like they don't own 100% of everything, and they do it on purpose. But here we are, a company that owns little bits and pieces of everything that kind of is like woven.
And it's enough because you can't do business in China without China owning a piece of you.
Right.
So that's the deal. You want to sell your video games in China? Well, you got to let Tencent buy a piece of your property, right? And then
I'm don't take my word for it. Do a search for Tencent online. Do a search for a lot of the news stories. You'll see stories dating back from 2015, 2016, deals with Disney, deals with ESPN, deals with Tesla, deals with all smaller mobile companies. They own a couple of mobile companies out in the West Coast, people that are using their cell phones. But yet here we have companies like Huawei here in the US that was just caught stealing and spying on Americans. But yet,
what's a Snapchat? Tim, come on. We're all trying to be younger here. Snapchat's where they send nudes to each other, right?
Right. That's pretty much where it is. Right. So China has all your nudes, guys.
China has all your nudes.
Okay. I'm going to get off the pulpit here. I'm just going to say that,
go ahead.
Keep an eye on the Tencent story. Keep an eye on the fact that, and again, I didn't even touch on the fact that NBA, the GM for the Rockets, Daryl Morey, he tweeted out a 7-word pro Hong Kong post and is literally going to be fired from the NBA.
Yep, pilloried. He got really just buses were driven
because
over
like
him.
5 big companies pulled their NBA sponsorship, and China is huge. The Rockets are huge in China because of the Yao Ming connection about 10 years ago, and so the Houston Rockets are like the national team for China. Like we have in Houston, the Houston Rockets have a like special jersey where Rockets is in Chinese.
Jesus Christ.
It's because that's how big of a connection they have towards it.
So I mean, I don't know. I think we all, if we want to be, I don't even know how to put it. I think gamers in general and nerds have to have a moment where they have to think about what they're willing to consume and how much they're willing to consume and how much they're willing to allow to have happen with our dollars. I think is the best way to put it.
Right.
Looking at the companies we don't service because we don't think their message is there, right? How do we get out from under China's thumb almost, right? I think we've lost the information war against Russia. I think we've lost the capitalism game against China. I wonder what Americans are going to do to stay in the game, as it were.
Well, the problem is
let's see how it looks in the next year as we're streaming, right?
Right. And I'm pretty sure every service I pay for probably is partially owned by Tencent in 1% or so.
Certainly over Chinese cables and through a Chinese built modem. So
right. That's the scary part, man. Like when you really sit down and think about it, you realize how much. Like I was talking to someone and I was like, they're like the modern day Hydra, in a way.
Or the sort of like Blade Runner, Shadowrun
government kind of thing.
William Gibson predicted, and or even the sort of Firefly world that was in a distant future where everyone had to learn Chinese. That could be our future, right? It could be we're now witnessing a kind of shift in the worldview, right? Chinese culture is gonna emerge dominant, and we're all gonna have to deal with it.
It's scary because it's coming from under us, like without us realizing it. They slowly buying.
It's because we love that money.
Love that money. Oh my God! Time to go full Nostradamus. What are your predictions for gaming news in year 2? Let's think about what's happening this coming year, right? So we've got we finally have Microsoft has launched full force with Xbox Game Pass. They've already announced their next console. Today, PlayStation was like holiday 2020 PlayStation 5. Yes, it is called PlayStation 5. Like the weirdest announcement. They're
it looks like a goddamn spaceship. It's so beautiful.
I don't know what they're doing. Sony's weird.
Got like haptic feedback. I don't whatever. So I think the competition across gaming services is going to be great for gamers. I think Apple joining the fray. I think Google eventually joining the fray. I think Xbox Pass pulling out dominance. Sony is finally catching up with their subscription service. I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo figures their subscription service out or merges with Xbox to make an amazing service.
For a year now.
I think over the next year, we're going to see more and more games as a service become the rule of thumb. I think loot boxes are going to disappear. I think they're going to completely go away.
Tim quoting the Onion. The Onion. I saw that.
They'll drop the same day. Good for Microsoft. I like that. That. So I think games as a service, I think, is going to be the big, huge thing for next year.
It was the prediction we made early on last year, and we saw its fruition come in this year. And I think we're only going to double down on it.
I think all the good companies are gonna see. I hope Xbox Pass's success and come around to it. We'll see when the new consoles come out. Who wins that war? Right. That's the critical part. How many people sign up for Xbox on their Xboxes in the war?
So I'm gonna get off that topic, and I'm gonna go with my prediction. And my prediction is gonna be this one. And God, someone listen to me in a year from now and tell me that I was right on this one, because I would love for this to happen.
That's one of the ones that I think is providing competition, Jordan. I don't know how well it's gonna do because I have not heard good things about it, but I think it will provide competition. Streaming games is an interesting thing, and I think we're going to head there. I don't know that Google is often ahead of the curve, and in the wrong direction. Right? They're too far ahead or right behind.
Right.
So I'd be curious.
Hey, we're going to do a fiber service at all major cities, and then they're like, oh, well, we can't do that. I'm like, oh, well, yeah.
We're going to do auto-driving cars. We're going to do wearables. Right? They were ahead of the game, but not quite there. So we'll see.
My prediction is going to be this. I think with gaming as a service in general, let me think about how to phrase this. I think in general, the prediction for me is that we're going to get these companies, we're going to get more combinations. I think the combination was Nintendo and Xbox coming in out of nowhere and joining forces. I think we're going to get more cross-save compatibility. I think that's the future. I think seeing these companies, these third-party companies not wanting to develop only for one console and one service, developing for everything, and things like Google Stadia, where you're going to have companies make one game, and they're like, we want it on everything or nothing, right?
Yep.
And so they're going to be like, okay, we're going to release on Xbox, we're going to release on PlayStation 5 or whatever, and then they're going to release these third-party games that aren't consoles exclusive, and you're going to be able to play your game on all of them.
It's going to be great.
Save on everything.
It's almost like we're going to have a Facebook profile, but it's going to be Xbox Pass, and we're just going to be able to play on whatever tools and systems we have, the games that are available there. It should be good. I'm looking forward to that. I'd love to see your predictions. Put them up, post them on our Facebook, shoot us messages, let us know on the Twitters, everything. Like, share us, subscribe if you're not already. Thanks to our fans. Thanks to Tim and Jordan and everyone for jumping in and talking to our partners.
I'm gonna give Tim a good 5 minutes or so of Joker real quick because he requested.
Oh no. go right ahead. Yeah, see the Megacorps. Oh man. See, I don't know that I'm fit enough to be a shadow runner there, Brian. I feel like I'm just gonna be a fixer. We'll see how it goes.
I'm gonna be a fixer for sure. I've always been a fixer, not a shadow runner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Wi-Fi hotspot for sure, man.
Who's to say it's not already, right?
The Joker. I'm going to run into that real quick just so that we don't kill the time on go over. The Joker. It was definitely one of those movies that excited me when I first heard it. Like I was like, "Ooh, Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker," and I was all for it. And then I started hearing more and more on what it was about, and Todd Phillips' vision, and the fact that he didn't embrace the comic book world. It was almost like I'll be honest with you. We know this is what happened. He had a great script. he had a great crime movie written, and someone somewhere decided to go, why don't we slap the Joker name on this and shop it? And so he shopped it to DC and Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers was like, that sounds like a great idea. And so they gave him all this money, and he rode the backs of DC Comics and the popularity that is the Joker to create this movie. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody that hasn't seen the movie, but I will say that the movie does not follow the comic in any way, shape, or form. It does not embrace its comic book roots in any way. It almost shuns it. It's almost like we are not a comic book movie. We're kind of forced to make this beautiful movie as a comic book just so that you would come in and see it, because you wouldn't see it. You wouldn't come to see this movie if I didn't have a comic book skin.
It's like, fine, I'll slather this gourmet meal in chocolate, you plebes.
Yeah, you plebes, fine. And so that's what it is. And so when the name drops happen in the movie, they are right. We see another Wayne parent killing. Of course, it was another.
God. You know what? I could watch. You know what? After the show, I'm going to watch a 10-minute reel of the Waynes dying, because there's nothing better than watching Rich David get shot. Is it a dark alleyway, one street lamp?
Yes. Was it after watching the Zorro movie?
Did he pull the pearls off first? Anyway, yes.
No, absolutely. Go
ahead, Joe. Finish your last sentence, because I have a question for you. A dark thought.
It's a movie that should have embraced its comic roots and didn't. And what makes me sad about it is I've seen posts of people that have seen it, and they're like, this is the definitive Joker movie. And I'm like, it's not. It really isn't. And if you
what if it does really well?
It did.
This is the future of DC comic book characters. These artistic takes on these.
So you're gonna push me on that one because you know what's happening. So DC already saw it. It did a $93 million opening, one of the biggest in October ever. So It's already in history books.
It had a lot of buzz.
Yeah, of course it did, because they showed the movie a month and a half in advance. So they had raving reviews by like.
It was like raving reviews for like 5 weeks, and then the blowback reviews like right before release, which was interesting.
Yeah, my parents are dead. Yeah, we're not. The thing is, we're not even getting that. We're not even getting Bruce Wayne in any way, shape, or form to even be that person. I want the Bat at the end of that movie putting on the mask and the cowl to go fight. We don't even get that. There's no acknowledgement whatsoever. I do want to make a 2-hour 45 minute of just the parents being killed, all in slow motion with big old
2-hour supercut.
Is this the future of DC movies? It scares me, but I think yes.
I blame Zack Snyder. I don't know how he did it, but I blame him.
You know, man, we're gonna look back on the Zack Snyder movies and go, you know what? That guy was going full-blown comic book, and that's what we always wanted. And now we're getting this crap. The freaking Joker movies don't want to acknowledge that they're a comic book movie. They're like, we're too highbrow to be a comic book movie.
Fucking Superman was too highbrow to be a
right. So here's the blowback of that already. The news that came out today, and I posted on it on my Facebook page, and I'm going to post on it. I'm going to share the link on the Mid-Geek.
On the Mid-Geek.
DC is making a talk about a Lex Luthor solo movie.
Yes.
Based as him as the president, but no Superman.
Can't wait.
Not even in a universe Superman exists.
Can't wait. How does that work?
Exactly.
How does that work? So that's our prediction for 2020. We're going to be saying, how does that
it doesn't work, man. It doesn't work. Lex Luthor. So if you're not familiar with the backstory of Lex Luthor was already kind of like I'm a great man. I'm bigly big. I make lots of money. That's exactly Lex Luthor. And then Superman showed up and he's like, I'm bigger, I'm stronger, I'm more popular than you, but I don't have any money, but I don't need it.
Wasn't Lex smarter? I mean, besides the super smart Superman we all had to deal with at some point or
another. So there's some great comic books about Lex Luthor where he's like, he's like, I just cured cancer, but go ahead and make it into a pill and roll it out. It'll be a 10-year treatment.
Oh, nice, because he's still a villain.
He's still a villain. Like he's like, oh, I just solved cancer.
So we're gonna get a movie with like Max Shrekley, the Magic the Gathering guy, and the
Right,
other one,
right.
right? Yeah, all right, I can get behind that. Behind that.
So it's the idea that we've got a Lex Luthor it's essentially a Trump movie.
But Trump's like Trump. It's the Trump movie that all the Trumpers want, right? They want to believe that he's smart, but he's not, right? Trump is not some Machiavellian genius. Can we agree on that?
I mean, he is. He's brilliant, but he's also an idiot because he makes all the wrong decisions because
of his ego.
His ego.
That's the only reason why villains lose is because of their ego.
Their ego. So Superman, in the Superman books, Lex Luthor becomes president to spite Superman. Because he goes, hey, I'm going to run for president, and people are going to vote for me, and I'm going to win.
Because I'm bigly.
And because I'm bigly awesome. I'm going to be the president. So he becomes the president, and then Superman has to kind of like bow down to him in a way, like, hey, here's the head of the United States. I can kind of wield Superman in a way.
That's awesome.
And it enrages Superman. There's a great issue, like a one shot of like when he wins the presidency, and the moment that he wins, Superman is in space yelling and screaming, like shattering like asteroids with his voice.
Punchy planets, no.
He's like punching after, he's so mad he wants to take it out on them because he's like he can't believe that the public like made him. And then his arc, of course, what's great about his arc is for a couple years, Lex Luthor is the president of the DC Comics, and he's of course still a sinister asshole and behind the scenes, and of course he eventually gets impeached.
Ah, nice.
And I'm like,
I love it. There you go. On that note, we can all hope for impeachment. We can all hope for resolution to the world troubles. We can hope some people stand up for the principles that America was built on at some point or other. Besides the ones about money, which America was never built on that. Let's not spread that around, Tim. We don't want other people reading that and thinking that's true because it's not. We all know it's not. God bless us, everyone.
Oh God, we're not unapologetic about that. We're not going to even play or placate that moment.
No. Absolutely. But placate us by liking, subscribing, saying hi, following on Twitter.
Thank you for dealing with us for a year. For my fans, if you're new here, welcome. We're in for a ride for the next year or so.
It's only going to get better from here.
It's only going to get better from here, guys. Thank you. Like, subscribe, share, do all the wonderful stuff. Episode 47.
Holy crap, it's been a year.
Love you all, guys. Take care.
Be kind.